Hello. Hello, everyone. Give me a second just to... Yeah, supposedly they have a lot of things that they'll kind of talk about, and I really only have... I'm kind of losing my voice. I apologize, but I really only have like 3 things to discuss with them. But I'll try and, you know, um, I'll try and discuss those things like with them as we go.
As well.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna unmute my stream, so you guys should you should now be on there. Can all you guys hear Daireb and Santar?
Hello.
I apologize, I'm losing my
Hello.
voice a bit.
2, 3.
Discord gets a bit iffy here and then. I might need to like leave call and rejoin call since Discord VCB kind of buggy sometimes. Can everybody speak in stage chat properly? Yeah, all good. Yeah, everybody can speak in stage chat. People are starting to join.
Stage chat again. That's We have so many channels. Here we go. I found it.
Right, I do wish that Discord finally one day fixes the fact that it just like cuts you out for like no reason. Anyway, do you guys want to start by looking at spotlights?
Like the suggestions, we can have a look through this, I guess. Is
Well,
there anything interesting here?
are like do you regularly look at spotlights, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, we don't need to look at spotlights. We can look at suggestions, but that's a complete mess. So at your own peril.
Yeah.
So let's just stick to stage chat then, if we're not going to do spotlights. Okay, guys, time for you to ask your questions in stage chat.
What do you guys want to know? What are we going to talk about today?
Yeah.
Question 1. Am I real? No.
Memorial Day code. Well, it's Memorial Day today. It'd be a bit too late for that, no?
Wasn't Memorial Day yesterday?
Add passive rules to TT shop, please.
Add passive reroll tokens to the time trial shop?
Yeah. That's
I've talked about this.
One.
I've talked about this on my stream a little bit. I don't want to because there's kind of no point for raid shards if you do that. If everything in the game, if all of the side content is completable by just doing the time trial, then there's no point in any of their content. And I don't want people to just do time trial all day and nothing else.
Oh yeah, another thing that was heavily suggested, new incubator machine when?
New incubator. So a lot of you guys would have got a hint from this from my Twitter, but I want to change how incubators work. So there won't be a new incubator until those changes have been made, because the way they work right now, basically the insane amount of XP you can get and the way people are able to get all the way to the level cap, like the level cap is the main limiting factor in progression right now, right? Not the difficulty of leveling. So it feels a little bit strange where it's like I can't increase the level cap very much because people will hit it instantly no matter how high I put it, and then people will get really powerful and it will throw off the balance of the game. I'd like it to be for actually grinding XP and levels to be part of the game loop again. So I'd like to change how incubators work. There won't be another incubator in the way that they currently work. It's not incubator simulator, you know?
But incubator is like the most like, for most people and with like high level units, incubator is the most profitable, let's say, way to get levels.
Yeah, it is right now. I'm not sure that's something I want to be the case. So a shake-up to the entire incubator meta is probably coming in the next update or two.
Incubators aren't getting nerfed, I think. That's what you mean by that? They're getting rebalanced, right? Or remade?
Yeah. I have a few different ideas. I don't want to say anything because you guys will take it as a promise. But yeah, I would anticipate that we'll change a little bit how it works. Because I still like the idea of people being able to kind of get stuff automatically, but I don't think they should be the only way to level, which pretty much they are right now. Unless you're using an XP event and a shiny potion or something, nothing else can come close to the incubator's speed of leveling, especially with the time chamber.
Yeah, people asking on the context of time chamber, people are asking if it is possible to have a free way to like upgrade the time chamber. Like for example, like spend a massive amount of like shards, but then it caps at 2.5 or 2 times and doesn't go any higher. Like a free way to like upgrade it from 1.5 to like something higher.
A free way of upgrading the time chamber is something that I want to do.
Okay.
It will
you've heard
probably be either this update or the next one. But yeah, that's definitely something that's coming.
Yeah, will there be a way to make illusionist free? Because currently, like to change like looks of like
Yes.
units, it is you need Robux. So people are asking if there's a way to do it for free in the future or not.
The short answer is that I would like to do it for free. And the long answer is that I would like to do it for free, but it wouldn't be something that is very easy to do for free. And I don't just mean in terms of difficulty. I'm talking about like time gating it and stuff, because the main idea of the incubator is to add cosmetics. I know that there's a little bit of change in the meta because of it, and especially some of the more powerful ultimate abilities. Some of them are quite a lot too powerful. That's actually due to a mistake that someone made on the team, but those are being patched. And it's essentially, think of it like skins, right? In like a game, it's a way that we can monetize the game without actually making it more pay to win. It's a way that we can add this kind of side optional content where you get something cool for engaging with it, but you're not really missing out if you don't. That's what we want to do, and I would like for free-to-play players to get some of that, but I think it would be unfair and it would defeat the purpose of it if you can just illusion all your units, relatively easily for free.
How about this instead? Like you do a ticket, for example, like that is released in a code once every 3 months, for example, which allows you to get a certain illusionist skin or something like that.
Some kind of ticket system, like releasing them with codes is like, that's the kind of thing that I mean. Like it would be very limited releases, very limited amount that people would be able to get, but a way, because I want people to be able to try it out, but I don't think people should be able to illusion everything they want to for free. So releasing it with codes is the kind of thing we'd be doing. Yeah, I still have to work out the exact details, but that's the overall sentiment that I have.
Yeah. And this is a good one from Kin. How different is the old luck system to the new one? Like, what kind of changes were made? Because there was the system that was changed, but you don't really know much about the change, do we?
So the core system itself hasn't been changed in terms of how it works. I just basically changed the actual values that go into the system. I actually believe that Trademark here has the the old and the new system up on his stream, which I joined. But basically, the way it works is that luck affects there still is a cutoff point. As a lot of you guys would know, there's like diminishing returns up to a certain point, and then it actually becomes negative for especially secrets and divines. In the old system, that was happening at around I believe it was around 10 to 15 net luck. So that would be, in the latest world, that would be around 24. Now there still is one, but it's far away. It's like, I think 50 or 60. So nobody's going to get there. And up until that point, the luck is continuously increasing. So the issue is that a lot of people had gotten to the point where they were actually getting higher luck and reducing their chances for the best units. So I had to change that. In terms of practical changes, you guys will be seeing basically more value for your luck, especially if you're already at high luck levels.
So since the topic of luck was brought up, this was a big thing I wanted to kind of discuss with you. And I don't necessarily I already, understand how it works, but I more want to pick your brain about what your design philosophy is about probability and luck in general. I'm curious, first of all, the algorithmic or exponential scale for luck, rather than just going to a linear scale. You believe that the initial points of luck, the early points of luck that you acquire, should have more value than later points of luck, correct? I mean, that's currently how you have it set up.
I wouldn't say that I think that the early points should be more valuable. I don't really think that's... I don't necessarily agree that is how it's set up.
Then why not just go to a linear scale? Each point of luck affects...
The linear scale would have the opposite effect, where later points of luck would be less valuable. So if you go essentially, I want each point of luck to confer the same percentage increase. And, well, within limits, which is why we have this kind of tally system. When stuff does eventually start to slow down, but essentially we want to have that increase of percentage, because if you gain +1 luck, I want it to be, whatever, a 10% increased chance, and I want that to happen every time. So if you're at 15 luck and you get a +1,
right.
It'll be 10% of whatever you had at 15, which is 10% higher than 14, which, so that is inherently going to be exponential. Part of the reason for this is because of how the game passes work. Since they give you a flat luck modifier, they need to, in other games you might have like double chances or something, and the way the luck game passes here work is pretty much the same. It's giving you like plus, whatever, 25%, 50%, 100% chances on each game pass. But they achieve that by adding a flat luck modifier. Yeah, I think if I did a linear scale, like if you already had 20 luck and you gained +1, it would be much less valuable proportionally. It would be practically unnoticeable. You would maybe be getting, 5% increased chances instead of 25%.
So when I say linear, I mean linear as opposed to, so like a percentage, just like you said, but a linear, like each one, rather than just taking, rather than taking the luck and doing the exponent thing that you do while adding the world luck and the player luck together. Okay, so this all stems from me spending like 4 hours the other day trying to figure out a luck system that would be fair to players when you had messaged me. And it's like, full transparency, it does seem like a very difficult thing to balance, because this is what I was going to show to players. But by Daireb fixing the later points of luck, he also made it much more difficult to get a divine or secret for low luck values at higher worlds. And I think that's due to two things. One is that there's that negative luck influence within the later worlds, which is pushing them into like a really bad odds of getting a divine or a secret. And I guess the thing was, I was looking at a bunch of different values, and I thought wouldn't it just be more simple to do like a flat, you take the weighting and you just do like 10% per point of luck or whatever.
Yes, that would be more simple.
And is there some?
I'm not sure if it would be better, but yes, that would be more simple. It probably would be easier for the players to understand as well.
Yeah, I'm just sensing like a ton of confusion, and I had a lot of players message me this update in particular, saying that especially the low luck players, they felt the effects of you. Like the high luck players probably did see on average a slightly more divines or lucks, but the low luck players, I saw a lot of comments in my stream and a lot of messages I was getting where people opened all weekend without getting, anything, even at decent luck values. I'm talking 10, 12 luck. Essentially, they're going to have to be opening 2 to 3 times as many stars on average to get some of those things.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, as you mentioned, it is quite hard to balance. It's kind of a catch-22 because if I want luck to be more valuable, which is essentially part of what, especially for secrets and divines, which is what this update essentially did. And I don't want high-level players to just be hatching divines constantly. I need to, if basically by increasing the value of luck, I've increased the difference between people on high luck and people on low luck, right? And now if I want people on high luck to not be hatching an insane amount of divines, that means that the people on lower luck must have to be hatching a little bit less. I've the exact values, and I pretty sure I mentioned this somewhere. It might have been on my stream, but the exact values are liable to be changed. I'm not sure if I want to rework the entire underlying system. But the exact values probably will be tweaked, because I am aware that especially if you're on very low luck values, you can it can be up to 2 to 3 times as difficult to hatch stuff now. The really, really rare things. I think, yeah, it's a pretty tough problem. I will be editing the values probably in the next update a little bit as well.
So 2 things came to mind when I was trying to play around with the values. First of all, if you took a player and made sure they were never negative luck, that might help like, because the later worlds, you can actually advance faster than you can earn luck, because luck is time gated, right? The luck upgrades are time gated, whereas advancing to the most recent world is less time gated. It really only requires maybe a week or two if you're playing an AFK farming. So a lot of players are reaching the end worlds prior to them having enough luck to counterbalance the world's negative luck, and it's causing them to get those super, super high, or I guess super low chances of getting a secret or a divine. So one I guess micro fix that came to mind was that you cap that negative modifier, so it's negative, so it's never negative, right? At the minimum, it would be 0. So like currently a player that was in World of Games, I think they're like negative 11. And let's say they have 4 luck. So instead of going all the way to negative 13 or, negative whatever, negative 8, I guess, you would actually just make them 0. And that way they wouldn't ever have those horrendous odds.
Yeah, so that at face value looks like a pretty good option, right? The 0 luck value is roughly what the game, like that's like the core game balance. I would consider people who are above their net luck being above 0 to be people who are at an advantage, and people who are below it to be at a disadvantage. Like the game itself is kind of designed around 0 luck. I mean, if you look at your I can see all your charts up. I have you up on my other monitor. So in the World of Games, around the 10 to 12 luck is pretty much, that's like the amount of opens that I think those things are worth. And that's how difficult they're, in quotes, supposed to be. So it makes sense, first of all, for people to be able to go a little bit below that, I think. It's essentially like if you're, almost progressing too fast. And I know that people can progress very quickly to the last few worlds. But there's that angle. But there's also, if we just hard cap people to 0 luck, if you're in World of Games and you have minus 11 luck, right? What happens if you buy all the game passes? Your luck is still 0, like you got nothing,
right.
which actually raises terms of service concerns on Roblox. So we may not even be able to do something like that from a legal perspective. But there's also just the balance perspective. If you get an upgrade to your luck, you should feel the difference. If you get a luck team, you should notice the difference. And if we're only letting people have any effect on their luck after they've hit 11 or 12, then what's the point of any of those lower aspects? While also, in my opinion, making the later worlds actually too easy. Like, I don't think people should be on negative 11 luck, but if we bring everyone up to 0, I think it will almost cheapen the later worlds in terms of the difficulty of getting the units there.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because
I don't consider that a solution as much as you're just you're micro fixing the effect of what the most recent change that you made has. I think a better solution would be moving to a linear model, but another solution that I've seen brought up quite often is, have you considered a soft pity system? So I know you said you're against hard pity system. You don't want a divine to have like a guaranteed amount where you open a certain amount of stars and you get that divine. But have you considered a soft pity system similar to like Diablo or some other looters, where the more that you open, the higher that your weighting becomes for a particular divine? Or in another question, do you ever feel that it should be possible to open, let's say, 50 million stars without a divine? Like, is that part of your design philosophy?
I think it should be possible.
You do think it should be possible?
Yes. Yeah, especially with, I think you've been playing the game for ages. You remember how it used to be, right?
I'm secretly cursing you in my head for the 50 million stars that I opened for Gilgamesh. But okay, so
but how many did you open last weekend?
Correct. Yeah, I understand that it'll be. There's lucky streaks and unlucky streaks, and I try and explain that to players for sure. And I can comprehend that because I've opened, hundreds of millions of stars. So I know that there's unlucky streaks, but I guess I'm thinking from like a new-ish player, if they've opened 20 million stars and they've yet to see a divine, and all their friends that have opened around 5 to 10 have seen one, it just becomes this really bitter kind of like resentment towards the game, almost like the game is broken because they haven't gotten that. And so Sorry, I kind of interrupted you there. Why do you feel like it should be possible to open, some ridiculously high amount of stars and not see a divine or a secret or something?
All right. Well, I'm gonna go back. Right. I'm gonna talk a little bit about how Anime Fighters has evolved.
Okay.
So, in the original release, the best units you could get were mythicals, and there were shiny mythicals, but that was it. Then I believe it was the first or second update where we added secret units. And secret units were practically impossible to earn back then, right? Like there were no max opens, there were no luck upgrades even. You weren't able to, like, people had much fewer stars opened in general. So it was really difficult to open them, right? And then as the game developed, there's kind of this creep where now secrets for like top level players like yourself, secrets are like extremely easy to open, especially in early worlds, or at least relatively extremely easy. Like when I added secrets, the reason they're not listed on the chances was because, and I didn't even tell anyone they were there when the update first came out. They were meant to be like this. They were literally meant to be like secret. Like when you got one, it was meant to almost be an Easter egg.
Right.
But then due to this creep, people are now getting them constantly, and they're kind of the new like baseline. Like if you're in the last world, like you should be grinding for secrets and you should be using secrets pretty much. And then, we still had shiny secrets. They were still sacred until the shiny machine came out. I mean, how long did it take you to get your first shiny secret before the shiny machine was released?
22 million. And then I spent a lot on when the shiny potion thing was a thing where you could exit out of the game and rejoin. And yes, my first shiny secret was a journey for sure. I would say it was actually much harder to get my first shiny secret than my first shiny divine. But
exactly, and that's 22 million back then, right? That was people were opening much more slowly. I mean, now we have double speed max opens, and we have more luck modifiers and all this stuff. Secrets are like quite easy now. That's why I wanted to add in divines, because I want there to be something that is genuinely, even for the best players, difficult and rare. And I think with divines, we have actually achieved that. My goal is not for every player to be grinding for divines. So I think, especially now, like 50 million stars open now is not the same as 50 million stars opened back when you were looking for that shiny secret. It's much easier now. You can open, especially with time events, you can open millions in one weekend. So I don't want divines to be easy. I want divines to be practically impossible unless you are in that upper echelon. And then if you are, then they're possible, but still difficult. And I believe, and I don't want
a soft pity
to continue this
system doesn't kick in until they're already past what the percentage would say is the average number of opens to actually, or I mean, you could even have it kick in twice past that, so. For example, if the average number of stars open for a divine is 15 million, you could make it so the soft pity system doesn't kick in until well past that, at 20 or 25 or 30 million even, right?
Yes, we could do that.
I guess what I'm saying is the soft pity prevents super big outliers, and I think that's the main problem. It's not that divines are hard to get or even feel like they're impossible to get, but you have the situations where players just get extremely unlucky and it becomes almost a hatred towards the game and each star that you open.
Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from with that. To tell you the truth, I haven't really considered a soft pity system before, so that's something that I can think about more. But I mean, I think that it's also easy to overstate how much of an effect this might have. If it's a soft pity system, especially if it's a soft pity system that isn't being communicated to the players, which is probably how I would implement it as a hidden mechanic. I think that the amount that we would still see pretty much the exact same number of people complaining. I think like if your chances increase, if it goes from 1 in 15 million to 1 in 10 million, or even 1 in 5 million, there can still be outliers. And there still will be. And also, it's very possible that people might just complain without it actually being true. The same way people say that they've opened stuff and it's not always true.
Right.
I think, yeah. So it's not like I think there's some grand conspiracy, but I think it is easy to imagine that would like fix the problem, whereas that would just maybe improve things and potentially not as much as is imagined. It's something I'll look into though. And there are a few mechanics in the game that are a little bit similar to that I don't want to go into great detail in. But something like that, it would be potentially doable. Yeah. Or what if I just add a divine pity potion and then everyone can stop complaining?
Well, so
That's
but,
one way.
you know, I guess by your own admission, though, it is something that you don't necessarily want newer players. Divines are not something that you want newer players to experience.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's partially why. So when I was designing the upgrades, I had to decide like what stat will get you what upgrade, and I decided to tie luck to time because I wanted to reward the people who'd actually spent a lot of time, like somebody who spent, because there's obviously a pretty hard cap in anime fighters in terms of how strong you can get, especially with the incubator meta, where you get a lot stronger really quickly until you hit the last world and you hit the level cap, and then all you have left is grinding for higher rarity units and passives, pretty much. So the difference, the proportional difference between like the top 1% of players and the top 10%, if you compare the 10% to like the bottom 10%, like the proportional difference is much greater on the lower levels, if that makes sense. So the way, so like if somebody spends like, what do you have like 7,000 hours or something?
Mm-hmm.
Like there are people with 2,000 hours who are on pretty much the same level as you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for the luck upgrades is to give people who have actually spent an insane amount of time some kind of reward. That is, it actually is easier for you to open. And I think the highest luck is only at 2,000 hours right now. But that kind of idea of the people who spent an incredible amount of time in the game have something to show for it in a meaningful way, instead of 1% crit chance. I decided luck was that you can actually open stuff easier, you can get rid of stuff faster, so you get an advantage in those parts. And yeah, so without the luck upgrades, divines are pretty much impossible, even if you spend Robux. So yeah, they're essentially for hyper endgame players, if you will.
So I guess the problem that I'm seeing is it's this general with the new system where you're affecting it. Like you said, we get secrets all the time. The endgame players actually just look at secrets as like another legendary or myth. It's literally just fodder for us to feed to our other units. Secrets mean nothing to the endgame player, but this adjustment has made it more difficult for the free-to-play player, or even the not free-to-play, some Game Pass, but is struggling because they can't open as, like you said, like if they don't have the, let's say, half max open game speed, if they don't have the backpack Game Passes, they're opening stars at an exponentially lower rate. And by making it that the low luck players have an even harder time to get secrets, I'm just seeing like a flood of complaints come in that it's impossible for them to get secrets now. Like I understand you're essentially fixing something that was broken prior, but at the same time, I guess you've created a new problem in that your free to play or your newer player audience is really struggling on the lower end.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, if I'm increasing the value of luck, it's inherently going to increase the difference between these essentially two classes. We have the endgame and the pay-to-win players on the top, and to be honest, the endgame plus you have to be endgame and pay-to-win to get to the very top. It is gonna increase the difference, but I think like the way the luck system was, especially for divines and secrets, was not really fair. Like people were spending their real money and they weren't getting anything for it. They were in some cases getting worse. People were spending thousands of hours in the game and actually losing, getting lower chances. Like it did have to change, and the value of luck, there still needs to be like a value. Like I was thinking, because I spent a whole day looking at different values. I spent hours and hours,
Mm-hmm.
and like this is one of the things I thought about, because I saw that the chances for low luck would go down. But I was like, if each point of luck has to be valuable, people are working really hard to get 1 point of luck. People are getting lucky passives. People are spending Robux. People are playing for thousands of hours. It needs to be valuable.
Right.
And if it is valuable, that means the chances need to increase if you're going up, which means they have to decrease if they're going down. There's really no way around it. Yeah. So, and we could, there's a case to be made for completely reworking the luck system, which we can talk about in a minute. But with the system we have now, essentially, if I didn't want the high class of players to be opening divines as if they were secrets, I had to reduce the chances for low level players. And I think it's definitely frustrating for a lot of players. I can totally understand where people are coming from. But I think it is pretty important. As I mentioned, I might tweak the values, but in principle, the change will stay. And I think it's also maybe like, it's a lot more frustrating for the player base at large to have something and have it taken away. And that can feel, that's what this update can feel like, right? Compared to if I just never gave it to you guys in the first place. So if the luck system had always worked like this, I don't think anybody would be complaining. Or much fewer people would be complaining. I think is a lot of people just feel like because the chances were reduced, they're reduced. That's the problem. It's not actually the chances that at what the values that they are that's necessarily an issue. It's just the fact that people were hatching secrets more easily 2 weeks ago than they are now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It certainly makes sense, but you can't, Pandora's box, I guess, so to speak, has already been open. The players have already felt those odds prior to it. So it is that difference which causes the outcry, because they've already been used to a certain, expectation of how many they should be getting.
Yeah, I know. And this is something that I have to deal with often. A lot of updates are taken really badly as a result of these kind of balance changes, because the reality is I can't just buff everything forever. Things do need to be nerfed. Right. People always take it badly without exception. And there have been cases where I have undershot the mark and given you guys something that I think is like too weak and too bad, because it's easier. It's much easier for me to buff things than it is for me to nerf things.
Okay.
I had an example, but I've forgotten what it was. But yeah, it's something that I have to deal with often. This is, I think, potentially, right? I don't know what the exact results are. I don't know what changes I'm going to make in future, even in the next update. But in principle, something like this had to happen at some point. It's just unfortunate that it does. But I think it's a very hard question. Yeah,
it is, and
I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining myself very well.
Nerding out on numbers here. I did play around, like I said, for like 4 hours, and maybe I'll send some of the ideas I had on a different luck system. I mean, you're open potentially to looking at a separate luck system.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think potentially, but one of the problems is as we've just been talking about, like, people are familiar with the current system. Like, for example, it was really weird. Like, all other games have like a luck multiplier, and we have like a luck that's added. Like, you get plus luck, you don't get times luck. And this is like really weird. Like, I'm not aware of any games that did it before we did. Like, the luck system is definitely a bit funky. And it's I didn't like when we first designed Anime Fighters, this luck system. I didn't put a huge amount of thought into I never thought anyone would be at the point. I thought the old luck system was fine, and I never thought anyone would be at high enough luck to be hitting those thresholds.
Right.
Yeah, and then so I didn't think about it that much, right? Like, Anime Fighters was a game that where we developed the whole thing pretty much in like the space of 2 or 3 months. We didn't realize how popular it would be and some of the decisions we made were not best for the long-term health of the game. And I think the look system is an example of one of those changes. But people have spent a year figuring out this look system, figuring out the pluses, figuring out all this stuff, and everyone's used to it now. If I completely change the look system, like nobody will know what's going on. Everyone will be angry and confused. Like I don't, unless the look system first of all, we need to keep the pluses, I think, because that's just how look works in anime fighters. And we need to keep the curve a similar shape to the way it has been. And we need to keep the curve similarly, like in terms of like the orders of magnitude of the chances need to stay pretty similar. Like I know I made stuff harder and easier in this update, but nothing got 100 times harder or 100 times easier. Stuff got 2 or 3 times harder, easier at most. So like it still needs to feel like anime fighters. It still needs to feel like you're opening stars in anime fighters, right? Which makes it really hard to change the fundamentals of how it works and keep that feeling of it feeling like the same game.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
I
Also,
apologize
there
for
was
steering the conversation for so long. I'll definitely
it's
send
okay,
you some
it's okay.
suggestions on what I was playing around with. Because I do think there
Yeah, for sure.
are maybe a few changes you can make to make it feel better.
At the end of the day, luck is one of the most touchy subjects in AFS. Like everybody, like, when it comes to luck, there's loads of things that can be done, but like are really, really hard to do at the end of the day. Like there'll always be that one person that won't be happy with it, basically.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah, somebody was asking if there was a luck chart, like a vague one, like not the exact lucks, but like basic, like a chart which could like explain the changes that were done, that we can pin it in a channel or not, or something like that.
I believe Trademark has one on his stream.
If
you could send it to me afterwards, that would be great.
Yeah. I mean,
I have a
even
spreadsheet
I
as well.
hesitate on like what I reveal because there's a point where people can get too immersed in numbers and not understand it, especially when they just see really giant numbers and they just feel like that's why I hesitated to even show this prior, because especially when you're dealing with super small probabilities, it just it's hard for humans, I think, to grasp what's going on.
It's very unintuitive.
So maybe I'll talk to Daireb first, but yeah, I do plan on at least explaining some of the gist of how it works.
Yeah. What's really good is that for like this is going to be like completely recorded, which is going to be good because if people were to ask all this, it would take ages explaining it again.
Yeah, it just means I can be held accountable for the dumb things I say. That's the only problem.
Okay.
So is there anything else you want to say? Like we talked about luck, is there anything other touchy or anything else? Like we didn't talk about game passes. Do you think game passes are all good as they are?
Is that
Go ahead.
Question to Daireb or who?
Can you repeat that? I don't think I caught it. Hello? I think his Discord.
Yeah.
Yes. What were you saying? Yeah.
Basically, I was asking about like, what do you think game passes are like currently? Like game passes are okay as they are? Do they have to be rebalanced in order to be adapted to like the new luck change, for example? Like, will they be revamped in the future, basically?
The luck game passes or the game passes in general?
Any game passes, all game passes in general. Will there be like revamps on certain ones or not, depending on future courses of the game?
If something changes in a big way that, makes one of the game passes not make sense anymore, we will change it. I don't think that there will be revamps. The only game pass that I'm looking at all to change anything in is VIP. I think everything else is actually quite fine, especially in regard to the latest luck changes. If anything, it's made the luck game passes better. It certainly hasn't made them worse. And in the last update, nothing really changed. that would affect any of the game passes. We're somewhat looking at. So I guess it was a bit of a lie about VIP, but I'm somewhat looking at like multi-open and extra equip and that kind of thing, because now due to this slow creep, this power scaling, people are completing time trials and are getting a lot of this stuff essentially for free. Like a free-to-play player can get 5 equips now, right? Nobody's beaten Ultimate, so 5 equips, and then you can get +2 from the Game Pass, right? So the difference is 40% increase. Whereas when the game first came out, before you could unlock new stuff, it was 3. Or no, you can get 6 now, right? So 6 to 8. So it's only a 30% increase, whereas it used to be 60% increase,
Right.
67%, going from 3 to 5. So the increase was bigger there. So what essentially has happened, like, it makes the game more free to play friendly in one way, but the other way of looking at it is like I'm nerfing people who spent money. They spent money on something. They still technically have it, but in practical terms, they have less than when they first purchased it. So, which isn't necessarily fair. So we might look at something like making extra equip give you a +3, or maybe we can reduce the price of extra equip and introduce a second one that also adds +2, something like that. These aren't decisions, I'd like to stress, right? Because people will take this out of context. These are not decisions that have been made. These are just thoughts that I've had about these game passes.
Yeah, VIP doesn't seem to give the same value as the other ones at 400. Also, fast open and multi-open, like you said, the creep has caused it for max opens to be so much more valuable and backpack space than the actual just manually opening. So I think those 4 are probably the most crucial ones to consider looking at.
Yeah, the fact that fast open and multi-open are essentially, what's the word?
Obsolete.
Well, they're like useless now. Yeah, obsolete. That's what I was looking at. They're essentially obsolete now, because it's hard to get max open tokens until you are quite powerful, but once you are, they're utterly useless. So something like a change to those is something that we'll look at. I mean, the change might be as simple as dropping the price because they're less useful, but it may also be, we might actually change how it works or add another game pass, or we could retire those, as in take them off sale entirely and put something to replace them. Like, obviously, people who have bought it will keep the stuff they bought, but I could just remove it for new purchases, because people might buy it expecting it to be really good and be disappointed when they find out that the meta is completely max opens.
Like, for example, like VIP used to be good at the beginning because it gave you the second best fighter you could get in like the worlds at the time. But now, it's quite easy to get a fighter more powerful than the VIP fighter, so that's basically pointless these days.
Yeah, yes, that kind of makes sense. But I mean, the part of the point of the VIP Game Pass is not to be this mechanical value. It's similar to the concept behind the Illusionist. The idea is that you can kind of show off. It's a way of supporting the game.
It's a starter pack, you could say. Like, you show off, like... It's like you're new, you want some reduction, you want a fighter that looks like you want a nice name tag in the group and Discord, you want to support the game. It's basically the starter pack for it.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue if you're just starting out, I think it is actually, like, if you want to get to the end of the game as quickly as possible from completely starting fresh, I would argue that it's the best Game Pass, because that fighter is so powerful. It's the equivalent of like a secret or a shiny secret. It's been buffed since it first came out. For anyone who's confused, but it is extremely powerful. That it can carry you through. You obviously have to fuse into it, but it can carry you through. It'll be better than anything you get pretty much until you're in the very later maps, or you're grinding a lot for a rare unit. It's really good. And also, I mean, I wouldn't underestimate 25% off stars. That is pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not amazing. It's pretty good. But the idea of this Game Pass isn't to provide a huge mechanical benefit. It's mainly to be something that people can spend money on if they want to, but without providing like a huge benefit. It's like essentially it's cosmetic. That's why there's chat tags, and you get a cool fighter, like a fighter that looks like you is really cool. And by the way, you cannot use the VIP fighter in the Illusionist. I don't know if anyone has tried that yet.
Yeah, we tried it.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'll make a way for it to work, but it doesn't work right now.
Yeah, that would be cool. I heard some people talking about that for sure. So the other biggest topic I had that I wanted to kind of talk about, and I'm not sure if this is it's more just asking you about your. I'm not sure if you can reveal anything to us about maybe some things that you've discussed, but currently the end game feels it feels a bit bland. Like it feels a bit repetitive. I know it takes you guys a lot of it does take effort to release the new worlds and release the new fighters, but for endgame players that are pretty much just looking for the new divine fighter to come out every 3 updates or whatever, it feels like we're just doing a lot of the same stuff. The ultimate time trial is the same thing, and so we're really hungry for some new endgame content. I'm wondering if you can reveal or talk about anything that you potentially have thought about or planned that's upcoming for the game.
Yeah, so I've mentioned this before, that I'm aware of this particular issue, and I would like to fix it. It's quite so. The first thing is it's quite hard to ideate and come up with ideas that don't break the game and that fit into the game properly for the end game. So the ideas are hard and the implementation is difficult. The reason there haven't been any large scale, like we've done some cool stuff in the last few updates, right? But for the last 3 or 4 updates, there hasn't been anything really big. The reason for that is because I was doing exams, so I haven't had as much time to develop these complex features. But I'm finished now, and I will definitely. This is something high on my priority list, and in fact, it is something. Not to reveal or spoil anything, but I hope to have some stuff out for the 1-year anniversary, which is the next update.
Yeah, talking about like things that we talked about in the past and like end game things. We talked about in the past like relics and dungeons and all that, and like clans. Like we've had loads of things that we talked about in stages before, but I'm guessing that like there's too much going on and so on.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not that easy to develop the game, and in terms of those kind of large features, I'm the programmer, right? Like, so for these kind of things, I'm the one who has to do the lion's share of the work, and it's all on me. I don't have anyone to help me. I can't just commission somebody.
Plus architecture and all that.
Yeah. So it does take more time. Somebody who hasn't developed a game might not realize how difficult it actually is to set up some of this stuff. And I do have other things that I need to do. I have a life, but I do. So it is. So in terms of the new features, like we have other team members who handle, making the fighters, making the worlds, that kind of thing. But in terms of the new features, it's a one-man show. It's just me, which can make it difficult. To release new stuff, but I definitely do intend to add new stuff to the end game. This update, hopefully, assuming things go on schedule, should be like one of the biggest updates that Make Fighters has ever had. I mean, it's the 1-year anniversary, so we're going to do some cool stuff.
Yeah, people were like asking about like what you've got planned for the first anniversary, because
we have
a big thing.
Update, and we're going to have a big update, and we're going to have the best event that Anime Fighters has ever had, and yeah. It's going to be pretty sick.
People are going to love it.
Yeah, it's going to be unreal. And I just hope that the next weekend, people aren't saying like, "Oh, why is the event so much worse?"
As long as it's better than the Halloween event, I think everybody will be pleased.
By event, I mean the multipliers. I don't necessarily mean a limited time event, although that is also something that is possible.
Yeah,
you guys will see. I don't want to spoil anything, but it should be good. Guys, make sure you're be there, be square. Mark the date.
Right,
I'm going to give everyone admin. That's the update.
Just give everybody. No, we should have done that for April Fools. We should have just given everybody admin rank.
Right. Yeah. Do you remember when everyone lost passives? Right. We should have just given everyone admin commands so they could restore the passives themselves. Yeah.
Great idea. Nothing can go wrong. Nothing at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is a good one. You've added like pities to like units, but will you be planning to do so for passives and so on? Like passives.
I have no such plans.
No.
I have no such plans. I think some changes might come. I quite like the idea of being able to roll multiple at a time. But I also, in principle, like the idea of being able to transfer passives between units, but I haven't come up with a way for that to not be completely broken.
Mm.
But in terms of pities, there are no plans for a pity right now. I think it's just a little bit. You would have to have a unique pity for every unit that you have, and that's just messy in terms of the design. From a technical perspective, the design of the game, that's quite messy. That's a lot of extra metadata about each unit that is quite useless. And pity makes sense for units because there's only one unit of that rarity. But for passives, like what happens if you hit your secret pity? Like you just get a random secret passive. It still might not be the one you want. You still there's no way of doing a hard cap unless we do like a pity for every passive, and then you have that on every unit. Like it's just overall a very weird and complicated idea. And I think making it easy to roll large amounts of passives will address the issue of it being unreasonably boring to get rare passives compared to a pity system.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the pity, people asking for the pity, stems from the same situation as the outliers that I was telling you about. Like on average, you should be hitting a secret passive every 7,200 rerolls. But I've done like 15,000, and I have gotten a couple secret passes, but they've both been not Time Lord, which is the one that I was looking for. And so it's just those outlier feelings of it. It shouldn't feel bad, to get a certain passive, I guess, or maybe you could lessen how bad it feels to roll for some of those if like you said, you made it so you could bulk roll passives or have it slowly increase over time. And I think I talked to you. I didn't verify that, but did you buff Time Lord in the most recent update?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
That was part of the nebulous balance changes and improvements part of the update notes. But yes, it has been buffed.
Well, talking about luck in general, luck at the end of the day can be either you have to spend and open thousands and thousands of eggs and walls, and sometimes you can just do 10 walls and get exactly what you want, like in 10 walls at the end of the day.
Yeah, or you can roll one passive and roll the new secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important that there's variance, and there should always, be a scale in it, and it should be quite a large scale for the more rare passives. But
sorry guys, I got a phone call. Give me a second.
Okay.
Those outliers can kind of be, they can be detrimental to players' experience. I feel like if you're the unlucky person that has to open 5 times, 10 times the amount of stars, or re-roll 5-10 times more than you're expected to roll to hit something, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, it's the game that chooses, not like the luck, you could say, that chooses who will get like the best things and who will not get the best things.
My food has just arrived, so I'm going to run and grab it, and I'm going to get a plate, and I'm going to bring it in here. So it's going to take a couple minutes, but I'll be back.
Eating ASMR, maybe.
That's funny. Absolutely. Under circumstances will I be doing ASMR. All right, I'll see you guys in 5 minutes.
Okay. Right, since Daireb isn't here anymore, is there anything you guys want to talk about or ask Trademark or ask me? Since Daireb is busy for the next 5 minutes.
I can explain to them how the luck system works if those were asking.
Are there some that are still asking about the luck system? Do you want to recap on it?
Sure.
Like, say it in stage chat. No, Trademark will not send you topics. Yes, explain. Yes, explain. Yeah, you'll do a recap. That might be good.
All right, so the in-game numbers show these percentages, right? This is just like the percentage chance of you getting an item. But because divines and secrets are so small of percentages, I tend to just hide these because I think it's more confusing to look at like 0.0000 whatever percent. And then I just look at if you turn this into a probability, it would be 1 in 38 million. So I'm just going to look at the average opens per this thing for the rest of the time. It makes it simpler to talk about. And so this is the old system right here. And so basically in World of Games, a player would have 1 in 38.7 million star chance on average to get a divine. And that chance increases, or I guess the number of stars open decreases all the way down to about 18. It's actually 19 luck is where the exact turnaround point happens. And then it actually gets harder to get a divine as your luck increases. So you notice it's like 1 in 30 million, 1 in 20, 1 in 10, 1 in 20, 1 in 24. So that was the problem that was in the luck system previously. In the last update, if you had too much luck, it was actually detrimental to you. It made it harder for you to get certain things. Specifically, it was harder to get divines and secrets, or technically any rarity aside from legendary actually does this. And so what Daireb did is he changed it so each point of luck does increase your chances more of getting something. So he increased the value of each point of luck. Okay. But in order to do this, the problem is if you do that, here, how can I show you guys? Let me just show you like on this old, this right here.
If you've got the chart and it doesn't say any exact luck values, I think you can send it, because I'm going to pin it in a channel anyway. You could like send it in stage chat and I'll pin it for now. If there isn't like exact secret values, exact divine values, for example, it should be okay.
I mean, these are the old values and these are the current odds right here. But I guess what I was getting at is if he would have just kept the starting point the same, what would have ended up happening is players that had over 20 luck would have gotten a divine like every 1 million or 2 million stars open, probably less.
Yeah.
Which is very broken. You don't want like the endgame players to just be getting dozens of divines to the point where they are just drowning in divines. It kind of ruins the excitement of getting them. So he actually made the base chance a little bit lower and then the scalar higher. And what you end up with is this system right here, where if you have 0 luck in World of Games, it really is atrocious odds. I mean, 1 in 190 million for a divine. But you actually approach the previous odds at around 18 to 19 luck, and then past that, it fixes the amount so that if you could, I mean, hypothetically, if you could get up to 30 luck, you would be getting a divine every, 5 million stars opened or so. The reason why I wouldn't pin something like this is because I don't think this is going to stay. Based on our conversation with Daireb earlier, I think he's going to adjust these values, and I'm going to give him some suggestions on ways. Like, the goal is for each point of luck to feel significant, but also not make the, free-to-play players feel like it's helpless to go for something.
Well, I think we could say that the change that was done, depending on how long the game has existed, hurts more people, you could say. If it was done right at the beginning, it might have done a less of effect, as Daireb said earlier. But since we did it like 20-ish updates in, like, it's had a toll on the community.
Were either of you guys playing when the Fusion update happened? That was like update 2, I think.
I was here since the beginning. So the Fusion update, when you fuse the units to get XP, was that it?
Yeah.
Or
prior you had the attack units,
Yeah.
You guys remember what the community response to that was?
Yeah, it was outrage.
They loved it.
No, they hated it.
Wait, what?
They absolutely hated it. Everyone hated it.
Really
People
hard
quit the game. I
they
got
said it
so
was
much hate. I
Google.
got death threats.
God.
Yeah, like people hate change, and I think looking back, like it was absolutely the right decision. I think the only reason Anime Fighters is as popular as it is because we made that change.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember thinking it was a bit odd that there was so much outcry about it.
Like it's long-term choices. Like it will affect like loads of people on the short term, but like on the long term, all the new people joining afterwards would really love that change because there'll be more features adding onto it to improve it.
What exactly are you guys talking about?
We were talking about like basically like recapping on the luck thing.
Oh yeah, you're talking about. Yeah,
People wanted a
I mean,
recap, so we did a recap.
the thing is, like, outcry immediately after a change it doesn't necessarily mean that the change is bad, or even that people actually will dislike it. Like, if hypothetically we left it exactly as it is, in a month people might be totally satisfied.
Yeah, it's a long-term change. Like in the long term, it's the best thing to do, really.
Maybe. I mean, it's very hard to know. I'm not like going to sit here and say I know exactly the correct luck values and luck system to make the game as fun and fair as possible. If that is even, I don't even think that's possible. Like there isn't a luck value or a luck system that is perfectly fair. I don't know. I don't know if this is exactly the right system. I just believe that this is better than the old system. And I'm taking on feedback, and there will be changes. There will 100% be changes to the luck system later, whether that be a complete rework or just tweaking the values to make it feel a little bit better.
Well, I don't think any game ever has managed to find the correct value for luck. So don't worry, I don't think you're the first to like have a problem with that. Like, there's like Google Gacha games and all that, like Google Play and all that, which do Gacha too, which have like all different like luck values and how luck is done and all that. Like it's all different because it's not one perfect luck. It's all different if you look at all.
And also,
games,
different people like different games. And a lot of people think easier, getting good stuff more easily is fun, which is not. Like nobody would be playing Anime Fighters
if you unlock everything in like
your first day.
a week. If you unlock everything in a week, it's boring.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but how many people are there on my tweets asking me to buff Divine Chances? Nobody. Never have I seen anything that says, "Oh, secrets are too easy. You should make them harder." Nobody's ever said that.
Secrets aren't even supposed to exist. They don't even show up in the list. They're supposed to be a unit that, like before Divines were added, that was supposed to be the goal unit. You got a secret in the old days, then that's your goal. That's the objective, basically, is to get a secret. Now it's like getting a full Divine team with like really good passives on it.
Yeah, my original vision for secrets was for the community to not even really know if they existed or not. That's how hard I wanted them to be.
Yeah.
When they first released, I wanted it to be like this almost legendary thing where people would post screenshots and other people would say they were faked. You know, like
yeah, it was like that. It was like that for like
it was like that for like half an hour.
And then
it was like half an hour, and then people were like, "What are all these new units that people are getting?"
Yeah.
Because I only made it like it was like one in like 100,000 or 200,000, and that was like turns out way too easy.
We underestimated the amount of time people would put into grinding secrets.
Yeah, I wanted there to be actual secret units, like not the rarity. I mean, ones that were genuinely Easter egg secrets that people wouldn't know about and people wouldn't have. And getting them wasn't even a goal. It was something that happened to one player out of like 1,000 ever, and it would be like this story, be like, "Oh my god, I hatched this insanely rare unit." That's not how it panned out. That's not how the game ended up panning out. And that's not actually even something that I really want to pursue anymore. But that was the original idea for secrets.
Yeah, another thing that I was meaning to talk to you about, but I'll talk about it now. Like anti-cheat, like people have been like, like the issue of like scripters and so on. Like it's such a big thing. Like, do you want to explain like why there's like the anti-cheat is so lenient, you could say?
Anti-cheat is really hard. That's the main reason. It's really hard to build a system that has no false positives. or an acceptably small number of false positives. And in a game like Anime Fighters, where it is essentially very easy to automate it, there's no way for me to catch all the cheaters. It's impossible. Because they can play essentially exactly like a player. Like, okay, maybe I can write a script that stops people from teleporting, right? If I spend loads of time, and the update will be tangibly worse because I spent so much time on it, and people will stop teleporting. People will just fly at the maximum allowable speed. Maybe I stop allowing flying. Now people will just walk at the maximum allowable speed. Like, I will make exploiters' lives slightly harder at the cost of like a whole update's worth of content, and it will only get slightly more difficult. You'll just end up with people having bots that look like players. That's all that will change. No. Well, there isn't really a good solution because Anime Fighters is so easy to automate. It's just on the gameplay. Like, theoretically, like, look at what people can do with something as simple as Tiny Task.
Yeah, Tiny Task is like for people on PC with Tiny Task have such a big advantage than like other platforms like mobile and Xbox and so on. Like, it's such a big advantage.
Yeah, they do. But if you look at how easy large parts of the game are to automate with such a simple tool, imagine a more advanced tool, aka scripting. You can automate the whole game. And I can do things that make it a little bit harder, but they just, are going to make the script slightly better. It'll take them 10 seconds longer to do something, but it'll still be something that they can just run overnight or whatever. There's no real way of telling the difference.
Now, I'm going to approach this from actually the reverse direction. Have you thought about making it so your mobile audience and your Xbox, your console player base can do things easier? Because I notice on a lot of my videos where I teach how to use Tiny Task, a lot of players are like, oh, how do you do this on iOS? And unfortunately, it's like, well, you can't. How do you do this on
that is heavily
console?
Requested.
So is there any thoughts of you allowing things like having an auto fuse setting, or making it so the magnet game pass picks up, in a bigger, like all of the time chamber? I guess what I'm noticing is players getting frustrated at the inability to do things that PC players can. And I'm wondering if you've thought at all about your mobile console audience.
Like maybe
I absolutely have.
For example, like we've got we've got like an auto clicker like Game Pass, but maybe doing another Game Pass which has like a radius, like an area where you can like upgrade the radius, where if you activate it, attacks like a monster within that radius automatically, for example.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Game Pass
I've
should
thought
be
about
the
it.
solution as much as
I know,
you're just enabling certain devices to do what most others can normally.
I have thought about this, and I have looked into this. And the main reason that we haven't taken large steps to address these issues is that without an external program like Tiny Task, you'll get AFK kicked after 20 minutes. And there's nothing I can do about that. iOS players cannot overnight without some kind of external software. So giving them the resources to be able to do that in theory is useless, because in practice they can't do it. I have thought about it, but there's no way for me to prevent the AFK kicking.
At least based on what some of my viewers have said, like Xbox, they can do some weird thing where they hold jump and then they press select, and it will at least anti-AFK, but they can't do a lot of the movement or the fuse things. So they can prevent the AFK or the 20-minute disconnect, at least Xbox. And I think iOS has a built-in auto clicker. Correct me if I'm wrong, but someone was saying it has like a built-in really trashy one that will prevent the 20-minute disconnect. It just won't do a lot of the things that Tiny Task could do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have iOS, and I do have an Xbox, but I don't use it very often. So I haven't. So last time I looked into it, that's what I found. Maybe I'm mistaken. In the case that I am, this is something that I will make a higher priority. To allow people to have these kind of AFK tools. I'm not sure about auto fusing. Although who knows? Depending on how the incubator changes, that might become something that needs to be done.
Okay.
I don't know if you like
try and get
like
proof on the anti-AFK for the different devices, and then maybe we can discuss that more.
In the old days, like there were like I don't know if you remembered in the old days there was calls an admin like a public admin thing. There was a command called in the old days. This is how you would do to like avoid AFK. Is there's .afk command which basically like makes you jump and move slightly every like 15 minutes so you wouldn't get kicked for AFK. I don't know if like Roblox AFK has improved so that's no longer used, but if it hasn't, all that you would need to do is like have a way to like move the character by itself.
It's not possible. Roblox doesn't care about your character moving. Roblox cares about what inputs the program is receiving.
Yeah,
and
but in the old times that used to
emulate your
work.
keyboard.
So they must have changed it.
I can't comment on if it used to work, but it doesn't work now.
Yeah, so they must have changed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but aren't there other Roblox games that do the same? Like All-Star Tower Defense comes to mind, where you can like go to the Ruby earning places. You don't need an anti-AFK for that, do you? I
believe that you do. As far as I'm aware, and I have looked into this extensively, there is no way of preventing the auto kick. Roblox have it there for a reason. It's to save their servers. And if they made it easy for developers, if they made it even possible for developers to get rid of it, it would kind of defeat the purpose. And there's like Roblox is listening to input from your actual device, right? So I can make whatever I want show up on the screen. I can move stuff around in the game world with scripts, but I cannot press your keyboard for you. I cannot tap your screen for you. And that's what the client itself is listening for. So I don't believe that it's possible. And I'm pretty sure that all the other games that are AFK require at least an auto clicker to prevent you getting kicked.
They're saying it automatically teleports you back to the game and then reconnects you. So I guess it switches you between server and server each time you're close.
Yes, sorry, so I was mistaken. That does work, because when you teleport, technically what you're doing is leaving and joining a new game, and that resets the timer. So that is something that is possible. And I thought about it for anime fighters, but the problem is that it's essentially very technically challenging, because in those games you get teleported to a place and nothing happens while you're there. You just sit there and you gain stuff, and then you get teleported to a new server every 8 minutes or whatever.
Where you're doing stuff there.
Yeah,
it would just be gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, it would be like, so if you're at a random star, like there's like 30 stars in the game, or 50 stars if you include Robux. But if you're at a random star, like if I teleport you away and I have to teleport you back to like the exact same spot, opening the exact same star, I need to keep the UI working. I need to keep all of this stuff working. It makes it very difficult to implement a full system like that. And I think it would probably end up being really buggy, because it's so much more complex.
Would there be a way, for example, like you remember that, like I said something like having a radius around you where you automatically attack? Like you could have something coupled with that. Is that all you'll have to do is teleport the person exactly back where they were before, and then with that radius, if it's enabled, they'll attack the closest monster or open the closest egg to them, which doesn't cost Robux to open, or something like that, coupled onto it.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of it's just very complicated because of a lot of how stuff works.
It's like complicated and a lot of work. Yeah,
the main, like, to be honest, that kind of system is theoretically possible, but I think that the amount of work it would take would be like disproportionate to how useful it would be. Especially, like, I have the stats: 75% of Anime Fighters players are on PC, and there's an element of somebody wants me to add Morbius. Yeah, but there's an element of game works better on PC, and that's why they're playing on PC. But it's also, there are a lot more PC players, so it is our priority to work on the PC platform. And it's my belief that most of the mobile players are players who usually play on PC and are temporarily playing on their phone. There are a few players who are only on their phone or console. Yeah. So it's basically, it's really difficult. It's
I don't
maybe
know
possible, but I don't want to waste.
I don't know if that's accurate. At least just, I mean, my perspective.
There are a lot of players who are playing only on mobile.
Right. Yeah.
But there are also a lot who are logging in to claim their daily reward or whatever, and who are logging in to just to like do a little bit while they're away on holidays or something. Like they both exist. They both exist.
Yeah. Just based on like the end of year metrics that they post by Roblox. I know then it was like 75% or something crazy high. That was like some kind of mobile device, or tablets obviously are included in there too. But
yeah. Yes, Roblox at large is like that. Anime Fighters isn't.
Is less. Okay.
Yeah, much lower. I think I can bring it up right here.
Do they give you stats like that for your own game? That's cool.
Mm-hmm. There are 29,000 people playing on PC right now out of 40,000. So that's 3/4.
Okay. Tiny task OP.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, can you get a suggestion for me, Daireb, please? People want Anya to be added as a divine.
Well,
yeah.
Of course, we'll absolutely be doing that. 100%.
Damn it. Well, I guess Anya's being added. It's like My Little Pony. You still haven't added that yet, though.
Somebody's saying, do I think the player base is distributed like that because of the lack of these features? I think yes, but I think even if we created the best possible systems to allow you guys to AFK like on your phone, people who play on mobile don't have the same playstyle as people on PC. People who play on PC are much more happy to leave their PC running. Like who's going to leave their phone running playing Roblox for 24 hours? You need I need
your phone for other things. Yeah,
and you can't do anything while your phone is playing Roblox. I can tell you guys, like mobile players on average play for half the length of PC players, and some of that is because they can't AFK. But I have never seen a game where mobile and tablet players who played more than PC players ever in my 10 years as a developer. Never happened. Like they're just not going to play the same way. Like people won't AFK at the same rate on mobile as they do on PC. I can personally guarantee that.
Well, I use phone like for Roblox. I don't keep it running and all that, but I only use my phone because my PC's died, so I don't really have a choice. I have to use my phone, but I wouldn't. I would never leave my phone overnight playing a game because I'll need my phone.
Yeah,
like these days, your phone is like a part of you. You need it everywhere. You need to be doing other things than just gaming on it.
No,
like
and
these
if you're
days,
actively playing a game, that's fine. If you're actively playing because it's taking your attention. But if you leave it AFKing, what if you need to call someone? What if you need to search something up? What if you need to bring up an ID card you have on your phone? Like
which people would use because they'd have one phone for that they'll keep on them, and then a second phone to keep Roblox overnight.
Yeah.
It's something only 2% of a community would do.
Yeah, I think that the AFK on mobile thing is like a very, very vocal minority. There are a few people who really want to be able to power play, and all they have is like a phone. But there's not many. The intersection of people who want to get to the end game and grind all day, and the people who can only play on mobile is very small, I think, but very they're very vocal, very active in the community. It's something that I'll look into. Like the anti-AFK teleporting stuff is probably not coming, but the adding more AFK features. I mean, I've wanted to add some kind of auto attack feature for a long time. In terms of auto fusing, I'm not really a fan. When fusing first came out, I swore it would never happen, but I have mellowed out a bit. That is something that is potentially coming. But more AFK features built into the game is something that I do want to do.
Well, I think that's less important now that the incubator meta has become the thing. But depending on how you change that, like you said, you're shifting away from the incubator meta. So I guess it's possible, something to consider depending on how you shift that.
Maybe new game modes, maybe new things like dungeons or things like that. Like, for example, you do a dungeon, and then at the end of a dungeon, you can get something which allows you to, for example, to level your unit up, like a 2% drop from it. Like, you can have loads of drops in the dungeon, because we talked about relics, which could be dropped in the dungeon, or there could be something that could be dropped that gives a level for any unit that you choose instantly, or something like that. That could be a good way to place incubators and make people go to do a dungeon, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's pretty.
You mean it
removing
benefits
and changing
AFKers,
incubators is a
not
hard problem.
exploiters, really?
Yeah.
Because, like, you'll have to do the entire dungeon. Like, yes, you can plow through it, but you'll still have to do the dungeon. It'll still take you 30 minutes if you're there or if you're not. So, doesn't change much.
I mean, I feel very strongly that a large part of the appeal of anime fighters is the fact that you can AFK it. And
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, it's like playing Cookie Clicker or something.
Like loads of other gacha games on Roblox, like you've got to be there, you've got to do things like there's RPG games where you've got to like fight monsters and all that. When the monster dies, you have to walk. Like Pet Heroes, for example, that wasn't really that AFK looped. Like, yes, you could AFK it, but there wasn't much of a benefit from it. Here, you've got a big benefit from AFKing, and loads of people do it. And when you do it, you're happy. Like, you get what you want from it.
Yeah.
So it's quite vital to the game that you're able to AFK it also, which might be a bit of a minus. And it's if you were to add like some things which are exclusively only able to get for actively playing people, then people would play a lot more without being AFK.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, AFK, like, I want there to be a mix. I want you to be able to play anime fighters actively. I want people to be able to sit down and play and have fun. But there also needs to be that AFK element. And that, for example, that's why there's two ways of earning yen, right? You can earn it in the time trial, where you earn a lot more, but you have to run around and you have to actively play. Or you can earn it in the overworld, which is just, is very highly AFKable, but it's a much lower rate of earning. So it's like that kind of dual. I'm trying to strike a balance between those things. The incubators, I mean, like, look at the time chamber. It's pretty blatantly like AFK. And I will give you free stuff. That's basically what the time chamber is. And if we like, the incubators are also built into that AFK side of things. So changing them is quite hard, because I don't want to upset like that kind of balance where people can feel like they're progressing without having to be like, you don't to be a top player. You don't actually have to be in the game 10 or 12 hours a day. If you just check on it for 30 minutes and go back to AFKing, it's like you could get really close to the top by doing that. And I think that's really important to why people like anime fighters.
Is that you can reach really high on the leaderboard without having to constantly be at your PC for months.
That you can make meaningful progress without having to actively play the entire time. Yeah. Like Cookie Clicker.
So I had a couple final questions. First off, I was curious, did you and Bronze Piece, were you the two kind of original creators for the game, the two founders, I guess would you say? Did you guys ever expect anime fighters to turn into just the complete, Roblox shifter that it has become?
No. I mentioned it earlier, like some of the decisions we made were pretty short term. Some of the stuff was rushed. That we expected it to be, the core of anime fighters is built on Pet Heroes, right? So I developed Pet Heroes for months and months, and I built this core system, and then I basically, Bronze Piece came to me and was like, hey, like, I've got this idea for this anime game. And I was like, that sounds cool. Like, I could use my system. We can make it really quickly. And that's what anime fighters came out of. It was essentially, I don't want to say like a cash grab, but we wanted to release a game that, like everyone was playing anime games. I can never publicly admit that anime fighters is a cash grab.
Okay, well,
but
go ahead. Sorry.
Anime was big back then, right? And we didn't know how long the trend would last. Bronze had already worked, and he had a lot of anime assets from UTD. And he basically pitched this idea to me, and due to personal circumstances, I wasn't able to work on Pet Heroes for several months. So I thought, like, I may as well go and give this a shot. But like, the idea was that it would be relatively quick, and it wasn't as quick as we expected, but it was relatively quick in terms of the early development, because I had this whole system built already. But it was basically the expectation was that it would blow up at the start. Maybe like we're hoping like 40, 50k players, and then it would drop down, and then ideally it would stabilize with a few thousand players, but very possibly it would just completely die after a period of a few months. That's actually the most common life cycle for a Roblox game. Very few have lasting power, have staying power. So no, we absolutely didn't expect it to be at this scale, and we're super happy, and we're super grateful to all of you guys for enjoying the game. We're glad we're able to give you guys something that you enjoy.
So as a follow-up question to that, do you, looking at the longevity of anime fighters, I know you've tweeted or you kind of tweeted that maybe at some point you could do an Anime Fighters 2. I'm sure you've had discussions with Bronze Piece about like how long this life cycle lasts. Are you just kind of taking it on a month-to-month basis? You're seeing how the player base is doing. Like if suddenly the player base drops, I know you have a new game coming out. I'm just curious about like let's say if we fast forward, because your first anniversary is coming up here soon. If we fast forward to Anime Fighters' second year anniversary, how do you see this next year playing out, and like what are your priorities for the game, etc.?
So I think my priority is keeping it where it is. I think I don't want to try anything really bold to try to grow the game. I'm very happy with the size. I'm very happy with like that everyone is enjoying it and having fun. We obviously will be innovating and doing stuff, but I don't have any plans to like completely rebuild it. The only way that would happen is if there's something like Anime Fighters 2, which is very possible. I'll tell you guys, we haven't decided to do that yet. But it is not something that we have decided against either. It's on the table. In terms of second anniversary, I don't know. Roblox games are really hard to predict. In a year's time, anime like a year ago, I didn't expect to still be working on Anime Fighters in a year. And even 6 months ago, I didn't expect to be working on Anime Fighters in 6 months. And now I'm sitting here and I don't know if I will be in 6 months' time. So we are very much taking it on like a month-to-month basis. There are some longer-term goals that we have. But in terms of the nitty-gritty of what's in each update, most of it is decided.
It's not something like where you're working on Anime Fighters 2 currently, and
no,
you're just...
Well, no comment.
Okay. A good example of like Roblox games that exploded and shouldn't have exploded. Piggy, like Minitoon, created that game as a big meme. Like he had no moderation, not even a Discord server for it. It was just as a meme. 300k people concurrently playing. Nobody knew that was going to happen. It's still like 100k playing daily, even though there's still not much moderation for it. Like you can't predict Roblox. You can't predict them.
I think it's dangerous to say shouldn't have, because I think that games on Roblox, a lot of them are frustrating and a lot of them are obviously really cheap products or whatever, but people play them because people like them. If you make a game that's successful in Roblox, it's because people enjoy the game. Like you have... it's easy. I mean, I used to make really complicated games that had no place being on Roblox, and in actuality weren't very good. And I spent months and months on them, and they would like nobody would play them. And I was like frustrated at simulators on the front page. Can't beat them, join them, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just players. They just want to make sure, hey, if I'm investing time and money into Anime Fighters, it's not going to be just like in 2 months suddenly Anime Fighters 2 is going to pop up. No. Because there's a lot of devs that like release a sequel and they're like, don't worry, we'll still support the original, but in actuality it's like no.
If a sequel comes out, so we have talked about these in terms of hypotheticals. If a sequel comes out, we would still plan on doing some updates, but obviously it wouldn't be the same scale or the same frequency as they are right now in the original Anime Fighters. I would like to, if there were a sequel, give people some kind of benefit for having played. Like maybe you can, it won't be something like transfer 1 unit, but like maybe, based on what world you reached, there's you get some kind of multiplier, or you get some kind of starting unit or something. if we do release an Anime Fighters 2, we will be communicating it months in advance.
Great.
So people will know. If Anime Fighters were coming out in any time sooner than the end of July, you guys would already know about it. And I mean, we're not going to stop working on Anime Fighters. Frankly, even if it loses 90% of its current player base, it's still like quite worth my time to work on it. It's very hard to get new games off the ground. I mean, everyone a lot of you guys would have tried Anime Training Simulator.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get a game right, and Anime Fighters and a lot of it is skill, and like I have years of experience, but there are still misses, and it's better for me to work on something that I know that people like. Better you guys get something that you like, I get a job, I get food and a roof over my head. But yeah, the development of Anime Fighters, the only way I see it stopping is if we release Anime Fighters 2, in which case, we'll be working on Anime Fighters 2. Based on the analytics we have, there aren't any negative trends in terms of Anime Fighters. Like, there's nothing that would make me worried about the state of the game right now. So it won't be dead in 2 months either.
Yeah.
Unless I really screw something up.
I think the game is in a pretty solid spot right now too. I don't know that anything you guys are doing would make it die as much as if a new game came out that had very similar, or a similar genre type deal that was better. Not that there have been lately, but
I think
it seems like
there have been a lot of games that are quite inspired, I think, by Anime Fighters coming out recently.
For sure.
ATS.
I think. Well, ATS is different. I'm more talking about we had Anime Warriors and our Multiverse Fighter Simulator are quite similar. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the craziest things. Like, we released Anime Fighters expecting it to be like kind of a quick game. We were trying to capitalize on a trend, and it ended up basically it's a whole genre now, like fighter simulator. There's loads of games, which is crazy to me.
You created a genre. How do you feel?
It feels weird, like seeing all these games that I'm like, wow, this is like this is like my idea. Like, I was sitting in my office, like making a decision, just randomly, and now like all these people are copying it. I'm like, I didn't put that much thought into this. Like, sorry. Well, actually, what was the original question? I've completely lost track.
No, you pretty much answered it already. I was just curious about your thoughts on the longevity of the game.
Okay. Yes. Oh, I was talking about other games that are similar. I think Anime Fighters, this kind of game, is actually a lot more insulated against that than other games would be, because people have spent thousands and thousands of hours in Anime Fighters. There's quite a lot of sunk cost. So even if there's a game that is like technically better than Anime Fighters, but it's not Anime Fighters. Like, a large part of why people play the game is because they already did play the game. All your friends play it. You can like show them your units. Like, nobody cares if you've got a unit in another game. We were the first to the punch, and I think in this little genre we've created, it's actually quite important. This is a hugely high retention rate on this kind of game. Yeah,
for sure. Oh, I've told my stream that countless times. Like, these other devs keep bringing out these games that are like on par or even just less, like just a little bit worse versions of Anime Fighters, and I'm like, they can't do that. Like, they have to be not only better but like significantly better to justify the transitioning and all that time and money spent on a game.
It's so hard because Anime Fighters is so content driven, and we've had a whole year to release. Like, these games are coming out and they have the core loop there, they have the enemies, they have the fighters, they have the opening, but like they don't have a time trial equivalent, they don't have raids equivalent, they don't have they maybe have one thing, but we've had years to release this stuff. And like, if you're just opening stars and killing enemies, it's not that much fun. Like, having these time limited events, having trading, having all these things, it mixes up the gameplay a bit. There's just loads of stuff in Anime Fighters. There's loads and loads of stuff, and it's very hard to
more to come. And more to come.
Absolutely, more to come.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for inviting me on here. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if you guys had more things you wanted to talk about.
I mean, I don't. I come in here blind.
I think we all come in here blind and we just like stare at stage up and see what's popping up.
Yeah, absolutely. Stage chat, say hi. What have you guys got anything to say?
Yeah, stage chat, come on. Last wall of questions.
Is there anyone in your stream chat, trademark, that you want to? Anything there you want to bring up?
Yeah, when is anniversary? When is anniversary? The date?
Oh, I did. I've been getting DMs quite frequently about restore requests. Like, tell me, so you implemented this backup feature, but we only have access to it during certain like major outages on Roblox. Okay.
Yes.
But now for people that still fill it out, if they had an individualized circumstance, like, are you guys able to tell that, yes, they lost data?
Yes.
Okay. But
so the revert system that I built.
Oh, I've filled out 25, 30 of these. They never get back to me. And I understand that there's, it's a lot to deal with as the staff members.
Yeah, there's like 5 admins with like around, we get like restore requests, I'd say around 50 to 100 a day. Like most don't even have proof. Most are just text.
But it made it
some
sound
are
like
trolls,
you don't need
some
proof
are spammed.
anymore. That's what Ian's post there made it
sound like. But we don't have a system for admins to look at yet.
Okay.
There's no system for admins. Admins, how they do restore requests is basically they get the proof, they use the proof to know what you lost, then they individually gave you every unit, then level up individually every unit. Like, that's how it's done. It takes like 30 minutes to restore requests. Usually one person who's lost their entire inventory, or like, for example, let's say 50 fighters, for example. It takes ages for one person. So that's why it takes time going through them.
Yeah. The restore system.
Go ahead.
The restore system that I built does work on an individual basis, and the admins do have access to commands to roll back data in exactly the same way. Did you not know that?
No, admins.
Oh God! All right.
They keep it all to themselves. Us mods are here just like staring at the ceiling. Please tell us. Please tell us.
I guess I'm thinking maybe it could really lessen your guys' workload if you develop some way in which a player could do it like once themselves manually through some hidden settings menu, like every 3 months or something. Not very often, obviously, so it can't be abused. But something to where, hey, yeah, I did lose a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna do this rollback and re-get my my lost items. I'm just trying to think of some solutions that you guys could do to better that process, because I do get a lot of DMs about that.
You could dupe items using alts if we allow player rollbacks of items.
Gotcha.
I thought this was something I was thinking about. Now, I was a little bit rushed because, I released that update and there was an issue and I fixed the issue in like 30 seconds. But it didn't stop, I think 25,000 people from losing their passives. And now everyone's afraid to join the game whenever we update now. But basically, the first thing the next day I was working. I spent 14 or 15 hours straight working to build that solution. So I wasn't really thinking about building mod tools to facilitate stuff in the future, but I did add the admin commands, something that the admins have access to. In theory, it's possible for them to roll back in that way. I'm not sure on what their exact policy is right now. On that, I give them a lot of
leeway.
Leeway, flexibility to decide on those policies themselves. So I'm not, and also I'm not I'm not the only developer owner of the game, so it's not like I am in control of everything. But the tools theoretically do exist, and as far as I'm aware, restore requests have been better now. They're much quicker to actually execute on. Yeah. The people are asking about the anniversary date. So I have the anniversary date here marked the 12th of June. So
that's in a bit. That's in 12 days.
Yeah. Been my longest living Roblox game.
Everybody will be looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Wait, so you said that's going to be next Saturday? or
not this Saturday, but not it's Sunday. The 12th of June is a Sunday, but not this Sunday. The following Sunday. So in 12 days. That'll be cool. I will be making an announcement about it this weekend, along with the event, probably.
Yeah.
Trademark. What do you think we should do for the weekend event? It's all on you now.
Yeah. All yours.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
this weekend?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of pressure, isn't it?
Yeah. Because if people don't like it, you're the one that's going to get pinged.
24x enemy HP.
Oh, I love that idea. Great. All right, I'll need to add that event. That's not even in the game, but we could certainly make that happen. Everyone's spamming L.
I mean, I think it's pretty typical on off weeks to do. I just like the high damage events more. Like I think drops is underrated. So if you could do 2, I would do like 6 damage drops, but I don't know if you can do 2.
Basically, drops and damage.
Yeah.
If it has to be split, like 3x damage, 3x drops, then I would rather it just be 6x damage. But
yeah, the scaling. I don't think two 6x events. We definitely won't do that. The problem is we can have the scaling on like other aspects of the game, but if we're multiplying weekend events, like if you have let's say 7 times for easy maths, right? If you have 7 times yen, you can earn 1 week of yen in 1 day.
Right.
And if yen is easier to earn, it doesn't change anything. You can still earn it. So if we make the multipliers too high, it'll make it obsolete to play the game during the week, and that's not something that we want to do.
So this 6.6x damage is what I would like.
6.66.
Exactly. Yeah, 6.66x
No.
damage. Exactly. 7.77x damage. Lucky 7s.
All right. Well, you guys can all blame Trademark for not asking for a 50% off sale.
Yeah.
You guys can blame him for that. It's on him.
50% off what? We've all bought everything.
Everything.
Everyone here has bought everything.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll save that one for when you release bulk passive rerolls and you give me like a 50% off passive rerolls on that weekend. That'll save me a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I mean, is there anything else that anyone wants to talk about?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to know what I'm eating. I have Indian food. I gotta pick it.
Hold on, I have a really long question from Niels here, the content creator. He was asking,
Sure.
is there any plans to change up the way the game is played other than just trying to get the best unit and the best passive on it? It is about time we start playing the game different. Game has definitely evolved a lot in the past half years, but it's still the same old direction, just a lot more fast-paced. For example, having like synergy between units. So that way certain groups of units buff each other. So like, I guess faction bonuses or something like that.
Like maybe like you've got a full team of like, for example, of a world team. Like you've got a full team of a certain world. You get like an attack speed bonus, or of another world, damage bonus, and so on.
So I think making the game more complex like that is really dangerous. It's a double-edged sword. It seems cool, but it can drive away. It can drive away new players, and it can drive because the game is harder, and it can drive away old players because it's not what they expect. The reality is that while there are some really hardcore players who would really like to see the game evolve in that kind of way, most players are very happy, are like totally happy with how it's going. I do want to add more endgame content, and by addressing the incubator meta, I do want to change how you're actually getting stronger. So it won't just be going for rare units anymore, hopefully. But changing like something like synergies seems like very complicated and very few people would use it. And I mean, I know that's just an example, but it's also kind of an example of how these things won't really change the game that much, because you'd still be just clicking on enemies and watching your units fight them. Yeah, most people aren't playing anime fighters to have like a really cerebral strategic experience. I think the core gameplay will remain pretty much untouched for the foreseeable future, unless something changes. I do want to add extra side content. So like the new endgame content I've been talking about, I do want stuff like that. But the core loop of like open units, level units, roll passives, fight enemies, like I don't want to. I'm very hesitant to touch that. I hope that answers the question sufficiently.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for having me on.
No problem.
It's been our pleasure
to have you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you very much. Yes.
If you're up for next month, that would be great. Unless if you're petrified from the community stage chat.
Yeah.
This weekend when I actually do the enemy health event, we'll see what the community thinks.
I'm gonna deny it and say I said 7 times damage.
Oh, it's all on video. You've been caught in 4K.
Yeah. And by the way, one last question to end this. Daireb, you've always been saying that you'll add My Little Pony. When are you going to add it, actually?
Well, I say we had a big event coming for the anniversary?
Oh, maybe then. Who knows? Maybe then.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks, guys. It's been really fun. I'll see you guys later. Yeah.
Take care.
See you later. I'll close up.
All right, guys. If you want, I can answer a few questions about things. I guess they might. It sounded like maybe they'll have me back on next month. I'm not sure. Honestly, I didn't really know what to expect. Here, I didn't really have much prepared aside from just the couple thoughts I had and talking about the new Lux system, because I knew that was like a really hot topic. And I'm kind of losing my voice, so I apologize if you were struggling to hear me. But thank you. I actually missed a few donations and members during the podcast or during the discussion. Sorry, I didn't answer you guys. Let me pull that up here. Dun, dun, dun. Let's see. So Air just donated $2. Thank you. How has your day been? I must have missed some of the other. Tizay Mole, thank you for the donation. Super chat. Add auto open or auto fuse. I did talk to him about that. Let's see. I think I had one more too that I can't find. Air, thank you though for asking. The day's been good. Actually, been pretty busy. I'm feeling better. I got sick. If you guys didn't notice, like Saturday when I was streaming, I was like losing my voice. I woke up Sunday and I was going to make so many videos and I was just like, I was dead, dude. I was not feeling good on Sunday. So that was, that was no fun. But, yeah, I'm feeling a bit better today. So that's good. And then, Ismail, thank you for becoming Elite Marker. Obama, 5 months now. Nice. Thank you so much, sir. Now you should get Niels on stage. Yeah, I think Niels would be a good guest there. I don't know if I don't really. It's kind of awkward to ask to invite someone there, but I can certainly ask if they can invite Niels on for one of those stages, because I don't think. How often do they do this? Do they do this like every week? I've never really joined any of these stages, but I think Niels has a lot of valuable things to offer for sure. I'm doubting they'll invite Kaido on just because we're probably trying to keep it. I don't think Kaido would Kaido would be hilarious to listen to. I would want Kaido on the the stage, but I'm not sure that they would want him at F minus. The time chamber day night was Neil's idea. But yeah, I think they might. So it sounds like Daireb's still here. But if you guys had any, I guess what I'm saying is if you have ideas or things that you want to talk about, and I can always message Daireb about them. But I was going to spend a little bit more time. I had basically been figuring out this other formula that in my mind feels a bit more. It's like a linear. It's basically just giving like. It's taking your luck and it's doing the rarity weight times 1 plus the weight scalar times luck value. And I think if you do it that way, you get a much more even distribution. The only thing that you would probably have to worry about is if luck gets too high. It could kind of get too easy to get things, but you can always just lower that scalar later. And that's what I was really failing to explain that, but that's how you change. Here, let me see if I can find this. This is the old system. This is the old system of luck. And this is basically your relative change from 0 luck, and this is your luck increasing. So you notice how legendary just scales to infinity. Okay, legendary scales to infinity, rare is right here, epic, and then you can't really see it displayed very good here, but like divine and secrets go up and then they actually go down at a certain point. But what I was saying is like, and I'll talk to Daireb about this, but you could have a linear system where the relative change remains equal. He thought I meant linear as in you just added luck, but it's still multiplicative. It's just the change is linear. So these lines for divine would go like this instead of going up and then down. But I'll talk to him about that. It's kind of nerdy stuff. I didn't actually want to get into that during that podcast. Well, I mean, I wanted to get into the new luck system because I knew a lot of you guys wanted to talk or like want to know why you were struggling to get secrets or divines. But I don't really want to talk about the details because I don't think it's like stuff that 99.9% of you are just going to find boring. And at the end of the day, you guys just want, I think what the majority of the community wants is you want to feel rewarded when you get something rare, right? Like the feeling of getting your first divine is an awesome feeling. You want that feeling to remain. You don't want, like, some of you counterintuitively think that you want like everything to be easy to obtain, but like they said in that stage, that's actually is a really terrible idea for game design to just make everything extremely easy to obtain. Everyone would quit very, very quickly. And so the goal is still make those hard things very hard to obtain. That's okay. But I think the goal is to minimize the outliers that you have. In other words, if you're expecting to open 10 million stars on average to get something and you have to open 3 times that, it can start to feel pretty bad. And I feel like you kind of have to change I don't think it's a problem if you start the base rate for secrets a bit higher and you increase the scalar, because the thing is, like I was saying earlier, endgame players don't actually care about getting secrets. So even if it scales to the point where we're getting secrets like every 5 or 10,000 opens, I don't think that actually matters, because in my mind, a new player that buys a lucky game pass is looking for a secret. Like, they're not looking for divines. They're looking for secrets because they're newer to the game. They're just looking for they're even looking for mythics still, right? When you're new to the game, you're looking for mythics and secrets. Then once you get like your first unit to max level and you start farming some significant yen, that's when now you're not looking for mythics anymore. You are looking for secrets, but you're looking for like multiple secrets, right? You're looking for mid to end world secrets, and you're trying to get those secrets and multiple of them so that you can limit break them. And then there's a point where you have multiple max level fighters where you go to the end game, and that's where players are now saying, okay, now all I'm looking for is divines. And so I think at each luck threshold that kind of goes, it should coincide with like your with the stage of the game that you're at, you know. So this most recent update, it did benefit players that are in the late stage, but early stage players are really going to be struggling type deal. The best way to handle it is, instead of taking it away from everyone, would have just been to add extremely difficult to get rarity. I didn't follow. It's time for me to go. Stage took longer than I thought. Well, thanks for stopping by, Obama. Sorry, I did read a lot of your things. I didn't want to interject on some of the things. Getting things easy is boring is the issue with most Roblox simulators. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, they need to still be very difficult to get, but you can still make the odds of getting one relative to the last point of luck increase in the same manner. But you can't do it with this formula. Like his current setup for the system of luck, you can't, there's no, like I played around with it for like half a day, hoping that I could find something. Well, not like half a day, like maybe like 4 or 5 hours, thinking that I could come up with some numbers that would be better. And at the end of the day, I just pretty much came to the conclusion that he would be better off with an entire new system. But I mean, I'll talk with him about that in DMs and see if he would agree with me. Because I think you can pretty much mimic the worst case scenario and best case scenario that he currently has in his system, but then drastically improve the, you can keep the best case scenario and like the ideal 0 luck worst case scenario without having these super crazy negative luck modifiers. It's just like, it looks bad, you know, 1 in 190 million stars. Someone at 2 luck, 1 in 140 million stars. You can, you know, someone at like 4 or 6 luck, a free to play player, they can cap out at how much luck? At like 8, I think. Is that what free to play caps out? I'd have to load the game to see, but yeah, I think anyways, I'm getting more into nerd values again. All people don't remember how hard secrets used to be. Secrets are kind of like mythical crafted units. Yeah, so that's that creep that he was talking about, right? So if you look at the game now compared to where it was at maybe 6 to 9 months ago, we're opening exponentially more stars, right? Because max opens weren't even a thing back then. But even if you don't consider max opens, we were opening like 5 stars, right? And now we're opening 9 or 8 or something, and we're opening them with the star boost that's making it much faster. And so it's just like, if you kept the rates exactly the same, but now we're opening 10 times the amount of stars, it's obvious that would result in 10 times the amount of secrets. And you have that creep, which makes secrets feel. I actually told my stream that the minute that divines were released, it was 2 updates after I got my shiny secrets, because it was like, you know, it really did feel like when Divines came out that all of my previous opens had now been put into this obsolete state where, you know, where where now everyone was just going for Divines. That being said, I will say that the limit break was a good change, because limit break actually makes it so secrets are now can be better than shiny Divines, right? So there's this point where you first hit max world where you want to go for like limit broken secrets before you would go for a limit broken divine. And I think that's a good thing. It's good to have options. You never want to feel like you're only going for like 1 or 2 units. That feels awful. The fact that a new player that hits max world can go for like 9 or 10 secrets and limit break them and still have them be as viable, if not more viable than a shiny divine, is good. Honestly, as a partially free-to-play player, I think max open should work for secret pity because I have open. Yeah, that's something I'll have to ask him why he didn't want max opens to. The thing is, I've already talked about this. Pities, we endgame players don't use pities because you never really hit pities at high luck, right? We never hit like secret pity, so we never use secret pity potions or anything. So in my opinion, I think that max open should count towards secret pity because it would just help, it'd help newer and lesser players. But maybe his reasoning is I would actually change the way that secret pity potion worked, and it literally just changed your base weighting. I feel like if he did that, instead of a count, I mean, some people like that bar at the top because like it's like a definitive, it's a guarantee, right? But you actually, if you just change your weighting when you pop the secret pity potion, I feel like that would be a better. You would just know that basically you have an increased chance of getting a secret when you pop that pity potion. But yeah, I don't know. I'll talk to him about the pity amounts because everything pity and just luck in general it's all connected, right? It's all connected to how often you get rewarded in this game for doing certain things, right? And I feel like the most important things are, one is to erase the super big outliers. Like you don't, in my opinion, I don't think there should be anyone opening 50 million stars without a define. Like he said otherwise, but he said otherwise because he feels like it should be very rare, and so whenever you have a really rare item, something with very, very small probability, you get a very, very big variance between the luckiest and unluckiest person, right? So the luckiest people are gonna get a divine in their very first max open. The unluckiest people are gonna be the people that open 5 to 10 times more stars than they were expected to open. But I don't think either of those situations really should exist on average. Well, they don't exist on average. Let me clarify that. Those are outliers. They're very rare they're very rare fringe very rare things that happen, and they're on the outlier, they're fringe. But I know there's been a few times that players have contacted me and been like, hey, I've opened this many stars. I still don't have a secret in this world, whatever. I feel like quitting, blah, blah, blah. And it just kind of does. It's one of these things that kind of puts a damper on. You can still make things rare without making things frustrating. And I think that's the point, is that like when I opened 50 million for Gilgamesh, that was frustrating. For sure. Sorry, I missed some of your guys' comments. Well, Trademark, I think Daireb should take care of units ultimates because it's so classic. These updates look at how low worlds it units. It was greatly cool. Ults. I'm not really following. Oh, I see what you're saying. The animations were cooler in the older. Yeah, I think part of that has to do with the DMCA takedown. They used to do ultimates like Attack on Titan would transform into the Titans. They did the one like Ethos, and yeah, they used to have really cool ones. But I'm wondering if the DMCA takedown was cause for part of that change, because the thing is, if they make an ult animation something like from an anime, like let's say they just use like Naruto's Baryon form, and they use some very like they just grab an attack right from the anime, they can get sued for that, so maybe that's why. I don't know for sure. Maybe they've just gotten lazier, or maybe they have a different person that does the animations. But
Look how cute she's being.
no.
It's a leopard. She thinks so cute right now.
How about they make a system where unlocking all achievements adds additional percentage of luck by very minimal amounts? I mean, you heard him say inside of the stage that he tied luck to time because he did want it to be a reward for players that have played the game for a significant period of time. So, I don't know that he would ever do something like achievement luck. When you get the first secret, I didn't start watching you until update 11. It was prior to. It was the Lucky Kingdom. No. Wait, yeah. It was Lucky Kingdom. It was Black Clover map. Black Clover map. So back then there wasn't divines, and I was on the Stars Open leaderboard. I think only one other player in the world had more Stars Open than me without a shiny secret. Back then there was no shiny machine either, so you couldn't just get like I had gotten thousands of secrets at that point, but no shiny secret. You had to hatch it naturally. And shiny potions were released, and back when shiny potions were released, you used to be able to, it was when max opens came out, you used to be able to max open and then leave the game, and your shiny boost would pause, but your max open cooldown would still continue. And so I abused that, and I basically spent, well, I say I abused it, but literally, I mean, if anything, I was the fool, because I probably spent, how much Robux did I spend that weekend? 25,000 or something Robux just on shiny potions. So I probably spent more than that on, super everything else, but yeah, it was like 25,000 Robux that I spent to get my first shiny secret. And the funny thing is, right after that, I got my second shiny secret, like the next day. I don't even know if it was shiny boost or shiny potion, but will Daireb ever add fighter trading? He says he doesn't have plans to do that. He said it's possible, but he currently doesn't have plans to do it. What about increasing luck based on stars open per map, like open speed, and it would be specific to the map? I don't think so. I think you guys are looking at it the wrong way. I don't think you should be earning luck. I think what you should be doing is earning a soft pity. I think at the end of the day, if it's all about the feeling, right? Like if you feel like Daireb did have a point in what he was saying, is that people will always complain. Like it doesn't matter what change happens, people are going to complain, and it's very likely that if he had never mentioned the luck change, like the luck system being overhauled, probably the vast majority of players would never even notice the difference. Okay, some of you would have. I mean, I certainly would have been able to notice it. Well, maybe not, because I was actually at a luck value where my odds are pretty equal to what they were before and after update. My odds of getting a divine are about the same. But someone that's at like 10 luck is going to have significantly worse odds. And someone at let me see. Like 0 luck, you're at like 4.5, almost 5 times worse odds, right? And someone at 6 luck is still at like nearly 4 times worse odds. Someone at like 10 luck is now still at 10 luck. You're still at like 2 and 2.5 times worse odds. It's not really until like mid-teens, like actually it's not really until like 19, 20 luck that you're actually at a similar odds as you were prior to update. And it's really not until 21 luck that you actually start having better odds than the old system. This is just for divines, and this is only at World of Games, but you can see like at high luck values, it is better for players at high luck values. But so like you can see at like 22 luck, it would have used to be 11.8 million on average, and at 22 luck it's 9.7. So like 20 is basically the point where it switches from being worse to being better. But how many players are over at over 20 luck, you know? Maybe on an event there's quite a few players over 20, but I'm trying to think what the max amount of luck that you can get to is without an event. Because I was at 21.5 with this event, and that was what were we at? Plus 3 luck? So 18.5. And technically you can get 8 limitless fighters, so you can get double the amount of limitless, which would be 4 more points of luck. So 22.5 luck is the max amount of luck that you could have with double like a full team of limitless secret lucky 6s. And lucky 6 means you hit lucky 3 on a like a mythic plus. You hit lucky 3, you limitless it, and then you hit lucky 3 again, which is insanely rare, because hitting lucky 3 again, now it costs you 15, 6 shards a piece if you're on mythic, 15 shards if you're on secret, I don't know that anyone has that. If they do, it's very, very few people that have that. I'm so angry. I've been opening with 14.5 luck for more than 48 hours, not even a shiny, secret, or divine, with over 25 million opens in the hole. Yeah. So I mean, that again, that's like, this goes back to that being that feeling bad, right? Like luck wise, you're actually not even that unlucky. Luck wise, with the new system at 14 luck, on average, you should be opening 25 million stars per divine. So that's not even really unlucky. That's just average. But it feels bad because you're comparing what your previous odds were to the new odds, right? And it's all subjective. It's all subjective, but it's also subjective to what you're experiencing within your community, within your friend circles, right? If like you're playing in games and you see a lot of other players get stuff and you just keep not getting stuff. So the question is how to make it feel rewarding to get a secret for newer players, right? Or even, yeah, because like I said, there's different players at different stages of the game. So you need to make it rewarding for new players to get a secret or a divine. You need to make it feel rewarding for low luck players to get a secret. And then you need to make it feel super rewarding for low luck players to get a divine. And you need to make it feel rewarding for high luck players to get a divine as well. While you need to make it feel rewarding to get those units while not making it frustrating. I mean, frustrating is subjective again, but you don't want to make it so frustrating to the point where objectively you've opened, multiple times more stars than you should have on average to get something, and you still don't get it. That's why I love soft biddies, guys. That's what the soft biddies do nothing except for the unlucky. They do nothing for anyone except for the unluckiest people, right? And then it's just the unlucky people that where it starts to kick in. It's not a guaranteed. It's not like a hard pity. So it's not like, oh, I've opened the average amount of stars to get a divine. It gives me a divine. It's soft. It means that now it increases your luck. So now your luck for getting a divine past a certain point is a little bit higher. And then, you open another 5 million stars, then it goes a little bit higher. And then you open another 5 million stars and it goes a little bit higher until eventually, you have like 3 times the luck. If you're 3 times over the amount of opens, you have 3 times the luck. Like eventually, if it just keeps increasing, you're going to get it. You know what I mean? There's still outliers, but it's not the same extremes. The thing is, a lot of you guys don't even know the odds, right? Because you're looking, you're talking to me about numbers which are still on par with what is in the current system, even the old system, right? I think a lot of people overestimated the old system. Here's the old system right here, and a lot of you are like. So if you had 6 luck in the old system, on average, you're only opening a divine one every 23 million stars. You know what I mean? It takes you until 14 luck to really see a significant, increase. 1 in 12, 1 in 13 million stars on average. Keep in mind that that's a specific divine. So these numbers are actually halved. If you consider Kaido and Gilgamesh, like this would be just for Kaido, right? Or just for Gilgamesh. If you're looking at what it takes to get one or the other, then we double the divine chance, and then you're actually looking at, it's actually halved. So you see this, how these are the old odds. So this was the old odds for either Kaido or Gilgamesh in World of Games. Then it would have been 1 in 19 million at the worst. And then after 6 luck. So like if you consider a luck event, right? Like if they're giving you 3 luck, your worst odds are like 1 in 14 million. And then your best odds are like 1 in 5.6 million. Okay. So basically what he improved the best case scenario. He kept it going from this point where you have this, 5.6. Now it starts getting worse odds as your luck increase. Now look at the new odds, okay? So now the new odds is as you get down to this point around 6 million, now it just keeps increasing. So 22 luck, 4.8 million, 24 luck, 3.9, 3.3, 2.8, 2.4. I mean, if people could get 30 luck right now, which maybe we can in the future at some point get 30 luck, you would be getting Kaido or Gilgamesh 1 in every 2.4 million stars on average. I mean, you're going to see tons of people flooding with Marcus. That's way better than the current best, which is 5.6. That's, twice as good of odds. But what it also means is that for people in the 0 to 6 luck range, or even I guess the 0 to 10 luck range, you just have significantly worse odds, right? Like, look at 10 luck, 1 in 22 million versus 1 in 8.3 million. That's really the problem, I think. Someone was telling me I opened with 10.5 luck all weekend. I didn't get a, secret. Well, here's why. I guess for a secret, it's actually not as bad as Divine. And that's kind of what Daireb said. He didn't really want new players-ish to be hitting these amounts. So I don't know. I'll have to talk to him about his design philosophy. What he's trying to accomplish. Because if I can understand like how difficult he's trying to make it for each group of players, I could, I can come up with a system. I don't doubt that he spent the whole day looking at this, trying to figure out because it's hard, dude. I spent like 5 hours and just got fed up with it at the end of it, because you can't move certain pieces. If you make each point of luck worth more, then this is what he was trying to tell you guys. As luck goes down, it just odds scale up in proportion. And so you end up with situations where like some unfortunate souls are just going to have to open a ton. But that's in the current system. Honestly, I would just throw away this entire system. Let me show you guys what I can't really show it. I can't show it. All right. Last few questions. If you guys have any questions, then I'm going to call it. Do you think we'll ever get part 2s to the world like Bleach and One Piece? I have a ton. Yeah. I mean, they did Boruto, right? So I don't see why not. I see Bleach. I can see One Piece. I can see a lot of the animes having, future arc secondary worlds. Do I even go for time or luck during a new update with either events? You would have to calculate it. It would be a tough calculation. If in almost all situations, you're probably... So if you went from like... $18 luck to $22 luck. That's a tough calculation. Depends how much your max open is decreased. I would say if you get double the amount of max opens, it's probably better to go Time Lord. So if your cooldown goes from like 30 seconds to 15 seconds with Time Lords, you're probably better off just sticking with Time Lords. If you only improve it by like, I don't know, 25%, then it probably is not worth it. It's probably better just to go luck. But again, that's assuming that this is going to stay the same. I'm almost positive that he adjusts these. I don't know how he's going to adjust them, but I'm almost positive he adjusts these. Mark, should Gogeta be the next Divine? He can be called the Greater Fusion when he is open, non-shiny. He should be in Super Saiyan. I mean, I don't have any preference, honestly. How much does Time Lord increase time multiplier? Plus 0.25x, but it's additive. It's not multiplicative. Is Daireb here? I don't think Daireb is here anymore. He was here earlier, but I think he's done. He left. Would it be easier to hatch secrets with Secret Pity or max opens? Max opens. Well, depends on your... Yeah. It's not a question I can answer simply like that. Depends on your luck. So like... if you're in World of Games and let's say you have 10 luck, you're going to hatch a secret 1 in 700,000 on average, right? Whereas Pity is only 100,000. But you can reach 700,000 a lot easier with max opens than you can just manually. So I would say like below 10 luck, probably pop a secret pity potion. Above 10 luck, maybe I would do both, honestly. But if there comes a point where like 20 luck, right? Where the pity is the same as your average. And so you'll almost always hit, like for me, I almost always open a secret before I would ever hit the pity, right? And this is only in World of Games. If you're in a lower world, it's going to be even easier to hit it. So let's say you're opening in Flame City, right? Like, in that case, yeah, like below 10 luck, maybe pop a secret pity, 10 to 20 luck, or 10 to like 14 luck, maybe do both. Past 16 luck, it's going to be basically the same. It's actually going to be better odds. You're probably going to get more secrets than you could ever hope to hit pity. So that's also why I was saying pity just... Secret pity potions are completely pointless for anyone that's past a certain luck value. And that's why I feel like it would actually be better for secret pity potions just to double your weight, right? You could double your weight and they would be more beneficial. As free to play, it doesn't really affect me because my best bet is to pop a pity potion and finish the pity. Yeah, no, true. If you're free to play or if you have low luck value, it's better. For sure, it's better. In fact, it's better that you have a flat pity amount than if you had a weighted pity amount. Like if you guys had 2 times your luck, you're still opening, you're still opening like millions of stars on average for a secret. So even like, double the odds at 1 in 2.1 million is still 1 million stars open on average. And that's just on average. You could get unlucky still. So. Post about a new game? I would. I just haven't had time lately. I'll be posting more on other games. I just work's been busy and things. Do you know the details of the Time Lord buff? I don't. I'll post them soon though. Anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for stopping by the stream. Hanging out. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I'd definitely be open to join them again on some kind of stage spot like this again. I thought it was interesting to hear him talk about, the longevity. I kind of thought that it was, they just kind of put this game together not last minute, but you guys heard him in the stream, right? He was saying in as roundabout manner as he could that it was just thrown together as kind of like a cash grab thing. I think it's evolved past that. I certainly don't think he views it as a cash grab anymore. He certainly has but I thought it was interesting to hear him say that, yeah, he did not expect anything out of this. Like his expectations were like getting maybe up to 40K players or something, when at their best they were peaking at what, like 300K or something like that, so and then to hear him talk about, it's also good to hear him talk about Anime Fighters 2, because I was a bit concerned that he would just like one day he'd just drop Anime Fighters 2 on us and then I would be kind of upset at him. But it was good to hear him say that he would, even though they might be working on it in the background, maybe some of the he will let us know months in advance that Anime Fighters 2 is coming out. And that way, you know, I mean, I'll still play Anime Fighters, but I probably will switch to Anime Fighters 2 as soon as Anime Fighters 2 comes out, you know. Do you think they'll transfer Game Passes? No. I 100% can guarantee you they don't transfer Game Passes. Game Passes are where they're going to make a huge chunk of their money, so they won't transfer them. He said he would maybe implement some type of benefit, but think small, guys. It'll probably be something small. Like he said, maybe a multiplier, maybe a unit, something that you could transfer over to benefit yourself. But again, the good news is that I don't think it's going to come out anytime soon, you know? So if you are concerned about that, here's what I would bet on, okay? If Anime Fighters takes a drastic turn for the player base drastically lowers, like something happens, I'm trying to think of what even could happen. Something like Anime Legends, some really big talked about game came out, and a big portion of the player base transitioned over, then I can see them being like, okay, let's start working seriously on Anime Fighters 2. Let's get like and within 3 to 6 months ish, you would see Anime Fighters 2 come out, right? But during that time, they would probably do far less frequent Anime Fighters updates. They'd basically be just doing the bare minimum that they could to keep the player base that still is left on Anime Fighters intact, while transitioning to a brand new game that would, you know, because there's only so many anime they can release too, right? In Anime Fighters, like if they're doing updates every other week, there's only so many anime that, like, already Kill la Kill is not a mainstream anime, you know. Doro Hedoro is not a mainstream anime. Eventually they have to branch out into these animes where most of the player base has no idea. They've never seen some of these animes. They have no idea what the characters are. There's no attachment to it, right? So yeah. At some point it would kind of be there, or it would make sense for them to just abandon ship and start over and do Anime Fighters 2. Okay. Now the good news is that he made it sound as though he wouldn't just do that at the drop of a hat. He's actually going to warn us and give us some sense of a warning prior to Anime Fighters 2 coming out. God of High School should be added. Yeah, that would be a good one. But again, I mean, God of High School, while it's a good manhwa, the anime wasn't super popular. It was good. I didn't like the ending. I thought that the pacing of the ending was bad, but it's not super mainstream. People need to make games that's not based on anime and make it character based. That way it's pretty much unlimited. I mean, you can say that, but Anime Fighters without being anime based would be probably just as popular as Pet Heroes was. And I don't know how popular Pet Heroes was, but it certainly was nowhere near as popular as Anime Fighters. Anime Fighters is like, I mean, they've basically found a game with a huge player base where they can steal IPs to leech off of popularity, right? Like, and I don't blame them. If I made a Roblox game right now, it would 100% be anime. And I love anime, and it's what attracts so many players to a lot of these anime games, but there's now the serious risk of having IP owners actually sue and get your game taken down. So it's a trade-off, I'm sure. Like, obviously, if they could, I think Daireb's new game is not going to be anime based. So it'll be interesting to see how successful this new game is. I think his new game is supposed to launch in June or soon, sometime. But Yeah, guys, there's Assassination Classroom. There's plenty of anime still that they haven't added, but my point is they're not mainstream anime, right? Like anyone that's ever watched anime knows about Bleach, they know about Naruto, they know about One Piece. They might not have watched them, but they at least know about them, right? They're mainstream. You don't you're just it's just an assumption that you know something about them. Whereas you can't say the same is true for I mean, even something like Black Clover, right? Which is very popular. It has a big following, but it's still yeah, I mean it might be encroaching on mainstream, but still like Chainsaw Man, right? That's a good one. Chainsaw Man isn't even an anime yet, so opens a whole another box of worms of they could basically add something and have it not affected at all. Like add something that's not an anime at all, and then you'd have open up a whole nother set of things that they could actually add. Well, I make individual videos on the new Lux system. Yeah, I was actually going to do that yesterday, but I was losing it. I just didn't feel good, so I'll probably record them either tonight or tomorrow, and then send them over to Subreddit. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Sound like I'm tired? No, I just don't feel good. That's mostly it. But anyways, guys, Malo Alpito, thanks for watching. And peace. I'm out of here.